Welcome to the most important podcast of your financial future. Today, we're going to teach you how to lose money. Pay attention, because these are the most valuable lessons you'll ever learn about creating wealth. Let's get started.
Janis Joplin hitchhiked from Austin, Texas to San Francisco in 1963 to pursue a singing career, but getting no further than a few sporadic singing jobs, returned to Texas, an apparent failure. Janis Joplin became one of the greatest blues singers of all time with such hits as Piece of My Heart, Down on Me, Try Just a Little Bit Harder, Me and Bobby McGee, and she had a riveting performance at Woodstock in 1969, and no, I wasn't there. Hey, welcome everyone, I'm Paul Moore. And How to Lose Money is a podcast where we discuss defining moments of success through distinctive stories of failure with business owners, investors, and entrepreneurs. Today, our guest is Kirk Deis, who's going to tell us how to lose money by checking your email. Hey, Kirk.
Hey, Paul. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you on. Every failure story we encounter follows a predictable pattern, and because of that, we've developed a marker system with flags. It helps keep everyone on track. Here's a quick overview. The green flags are initial part of the story. The red flag is the first sign of trouble. The black flag is the point of no return where everything's dead. And the white flag signifies total surrender and the moment we walk away. Kirk Deis has been featured in Forbes, podcasts, and radio shows across the U.S. He's the CEO and founder of two companies, Treehouse 51, which is a digital agency in Newport Beach, California, and The Bug Squasher, a universal web app to help you diagnose website issues. Kirk, it's great to have you on the show. What's this? What the Bug Squasher? I know about bug zappers. What's this?
So the Bug Squasher actually came out of heartache and pain. With Treehouse 51, we get a lot of clients who want websites, and we had this client, and she was an older lady in her 70s, and we were making a website for her. It was pretty meaty, and on one occasion, she sent me this email. It was like 10,000 words, single space, and within the body of the email, in the very middle somewhere, was the issue. And I woke up to this message, I saw it, and I thought, crap. She didn't give me the URL, she didn't give me a screenshot, she didn't give me any information to help her. So I had to reach out to her and I had to ask her these questions to help diagnose the issue. And then she replied to me, and it was like I kicked her dog. She was so upset. She was saying, how come you don't know this? What did I hire you guys for? She was just angry. Eventually, I got the information from her. I asked the basics, like what device are you on, desktop, mobile, what type of browser, Firefox, Chrome. Of course, she was on Internet Explorer.
Of course.
Yeah, so I got all this information. I told it to the guys, and we're laughing and crying about it on the inside because we've seen this happen, a variation of it happen before. We've never seen it this extreme, but we always get emails, or we used to always get emails, text messages, Skypes from clients asking for changes. When I was telling the guys the story, we're getting geared up to take care of the issue. And then I thought, I wish there was a way that the client wasn't expected to deliver this information. They didn't feel like they were put on the spot to give us information because they didn't have to. I wish there was a way we could just add something to their site and they could just click it and send us everything without having to send us an email. And that's how the Bug Squasher began. With it, it's a line of code. You can add it to any type of framework. So WordPress, Wix, any e-commerce site, Laravel. Add this line of code to your website, and then you just click what the bug is, and it will give a ton of information for your developer, your development team, or agency, whoever's using the tool, from what the URL is, a screenshot. They can annotate it. They'll tell you what type of device they're on, what browser, if there's web console errors, just a ton of features that you need to know, a ton of information that you need to know to help diagnose it.
So tell us how the story begins. We're going to start with the green flag. The green flag's where everything starts, everything looks great. You got a new client, new business, new relationship. Tell us how this opportunity came about that ended up in failure later.
So we brought on this client who we thought was going to be easily over $8,000 value for us in the lifetime of the contract. We were very, very excited to work for them. The job wasn't too complicated. It was just making some updates to their website, some SEO stuff, some design stuff. And we were thinking this is going to be easy peasy. We're going to deliver something great, have a great relationship with this guy.
What type of client was it, and you don't have to tell us specifics, but what type of client was it? Was it a website? Was it a development, or tell us more about that?
Their website was actually a dentist website. The dentist website was owned by the son, and the person who hired us was actually the father. And the father brought us on. He had said that he tried some SEO, some content creation, some design stuff, and he wasn't getting the results he wanted. So he brought us on to help amp up his game.
So everything looked good at first, as it always does for us entrepreneurs, but something went wrong. What was the first sign of trouble? When did you realize that something wasn't quite right, and what was it?
Actually, I wish it happened sooner rather than later, but we had given them the deliverables. I actually had a phone call with them about it, and we had this really great meeting, really positive. And during the conversation, there was a lot of dangling carrots. So we're going to do this next and this next. And I was like, great, let me put together a plan for that stuff and get back to you. And then a few days went by, I gave him the plan, and he just vanished. And then I was like, oh, maybe he's busy. And then I just never heard from him again. And I check in like every few days, and eventually a few days became weeks. And somewhere during that period, I learned that he had changed the login information to his website. So that was probably the first red flag where I was like, what's going on?
Oh my goodness. So at what point, let's move on to the black flag. At what point did you realize this non-paying client is not going to pay? When did you finally throw up your hands and move on?
I got extremely concerned when it had almost been about 30 days since sending him the invoice, and I hadn't heard a word from him. And payday was coming up. I realized, okay, this guy is ghosting me. He's not going to reply. He doesn't care. We're a different state, so I can't talk to him. It's easy to ignore when you're not around.
So you said payday was coming up. Tell us more about that. Did you have employees to pay? You had moved from being perhaps a sole developer in the past. Weren't you involved in the movie industry? And tell us more about that and how you moved from a sole proprietor to a company and having employees, and then tell us about this payday thing.
My background, I started off as screenwriting and did ghostwriting, online writing for different websites, eventually getting jobs in ad agencies, 9-to-5 jobs, working for different marketing teams. I went to film school, so I knew all these incredible film guys who do stuff in the industry now. And having the 9-to-5 job and all that experience, I met all these marketing people. So what I wanted to do along the way, I thought, wouldn't it be great to combine these two types of minds? Typically, film guys, they're very creative. They're creative driven. I want to tell a story. I want you to feel something. And marketing guys, they tend to be data driven. So I thought, doesn't it make sense to get the data and the creativity and just merge it into one creative hub? And that's how Treehouse 51 began.
So you had payroll, and you mentioned to me before the show that you're partners with Frank Cottle, right? And Frank's kind of a legendary entrepreneur. How did you go from being, this developer to having employees? Was that a tough transition? And how did it lead you to this day when you were facing this payroll without the funds to pay?
It was definitely humbling. I mean, there's so many things when you're working a 9-to-5 life that are taken care of for you. It never becomes an issue. It's not a concern. That when you own your own business, it is. When I had the team, they don't become a team. They're your family. When they hurt, you hurt. You want them to be happy. You're doing stuff all the time to make sure everybody's taken care of.
Tell us about payday.
Yeah. So when payday was coming up, I just remember thinking, I've let down my family. I let down myself. I let down the guys. I let down my family. This is not bueno. We've got a really big problem on our hands, and it doesn't look optimistic.
So what did you do? I mean, these are your family. These are your team. What did you say to them?
Luckily, the only thing that worked for me was they knew that I saw them as family, and they see me as family. I've known these guys for years, and I told them the situation. I told them what happened. and we had to talk about it. And I came in with a plan. I gave him bad news and a plan. And I said, guys, this is what happens. I told him the story, and this is what I want to do if you guys are open to it. And what I recommended was just give me an extension. Give me just a couple of weeks. Not only will I pay you, but I'll give you a bonus. And luckily at the time we had leads in the funnel. I didn't know if we were going to close them or not, but I knew at that time, I was like, we have to close these people in order to pay them. And so my relationships with the guys saved me. They understood, and they gave me that benefit of the doubt. They gave me a little slack, and it ended up we closed those clients, so it worked out.
If you've spent your life looking for the perfect investment, then look no further. Real estate investor, serial entrepreneur, and co-host of How to Lose Money, Paul Moore, has written his second book on real estate investing. It's called The Perfect Investment: Create Enduring Wealth from the Historic Shift to Multifamily Housing. It's available on Amazon or at his website, wellingscapital.com.
So you closed the clients, you had money coming in, and you were able to pay them eventually. You had to pay them a little extra bonus, but you did get them paid, and nobody quit? Nobody
quit. We did actually have somebody, we got that client through a referral of somebody who was on our team. And I think sometimes it's just human nature. You want to blame somebody. And this guy got a lot of slack from the guys where we couldn't get a hold of the client, so they just blamed him. They kind of just saw him differently. And it absolutely 110% not his fault. He's moved on. He's doing good things. But it did kind of leave some bad blood between everybody where they felt a little frustrated with them.
All right, let's move on to the white flag. So the white flag is the point in our story when, yes, it's dead. Yes, you've thrown up your hands and given up. But how did you walk away from this? How did you get from the point where it was dead to where you completely packed up and moved on? What happened? Did you continue to pursue this client? Did you get you didn't go to their dentist's office. What did you do next?
Well, what I eventually did was I took it to a collection agency, and they still call me like every other month and give me an update. It's no progress. They're trying to get the money. I don't think we're ever going to get it. I think we'll eventually need to go to the court systems. So that's what we did for that part of it. The other change I did was we completely changed how we onboard clients now. So in the beginning, just being green, being a newbie, rookie, just didn't know things. Now we have this new contract where if we bring you on, we have a credit card on file, and you have to sign off for us to charge it when we do the work.
So how did you emotionally cope with this painful situation? I mean, you had done everything you were supposed to do. Your client didn't pay you. How did it impact you emotionally while you were, when you knew you had just passed payday without paying your employees?
It's another level of rock bottom,
Really?
It's hard. It's hard asking for help, and it's hard asking for help from your family sometimes, even when you need it. And it's hard asking for help from your family when you owe them so much. So when that stuff happened, it was emotionally hard for me. I felt really stressed out. I wasn't happy. I felt scared, but I knew that I couldn't just wallow in my pain. I had to do something.
What did you do?
What I did for myself was I came up with a plan. It wasn't like a life-changing plan. It was just, here are the 10 things I'm going to do, and I'm just going to take baby steps and do it. I don't have the luxury to cry about this. When you own your business, you don't have time for that. You'll die. Your business will fail if all you do is just complain. It's not productive. It doesn't advance your cause. It doesn't help the family. So you got to put that stuff aside. You can still feel the pain. Like just talking about it still hurts my heart. You can still feel it, but you can't just be like, well, I guess that happened, I'm gonna go cry about it. No, you have to come up with a plan and do something about it.
Before the show, we were talking about your business partner, Frank Cottle, and how he has often said, you don't know what you don't know. And that's so true with us as entrepreneurs. How do you know what you don't know? Is that what Frank asked? And how do you answer that at this point? And how does that, what's that got to do with our story today? You mentioned it before.
So when you're starting out, there's so many things that happen where it's like, how do you know what you don't know? This is a great problem with this story. I didn't know this was going to happen. Unfortunately, you can pretty much expect the unexpected. You can pretty much expect there's going to be some other variation of this where it's like, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. The number one thing you can do is learn from it. You try to be prepared as much as you can for every scenario, but you're human. You're going to make mistakes. Things are going to get by you. As long as you're learning from it and you're taking some type of diligent effort to plan for it, it'll work out for you.
So, Kirk, we're going to transition to a segment of our show called Failing Forward. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and you can answer each one briefly in a sentence or two. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. So, bottom line, Kirk, why did this failure experience happen to you?
Because I was a rookie. Because how do you know what you don't know? So, Treehouse 51 is the first business I've ever owned, and I just did not have the experience or the foresight to recognize that these type of things might happen.
What is the single most important lesson you learned from this experience?
You can't know everything. The unexpected will happen. And when it happens, you cannot quit. You do not have the time to sit and cry about these things. You need to come up with a plan. It doesn't have to be a life-changing plan, but you need to come up with a plan and you need to follow through with it. As long as you're taking baby steps, you're still in the game.
Excellent. So how do you protect yourself from failing in this way again?
With us, what we did was we completely changed our onboarding process. So we complained our contract requirements. Now we have credit cards on files. That was probably the biggest thing. We didn't have anything on file, even though we had a contract. So that's proven to be something now we don't have to worry about that because they sign it. In the contract, it says, we're going to bill automatically. You have to sign off on this.
Who do you turn to when you need help at this point in life?
I turn to Google. I'm on Google all the time, looking up just different stuff, different tools, articles. I look a lot at actually Amazon from a marketing perspective. I think Amazon is the best, hands down. Everything they do from email marketing to PPC to how they have their website. If you don't have a huge marketing budget, Amazon's the site that you want to try to mimic because there's so much you can learn from it, from their process. They've spent the billions of dollars, so you don't have to.
Oh, that's so true. That is a great point. I remember years ago, I was doing some PPC training, copywriting, marketing, things like that. And people were saying back then, they said, observe Amazon's website, observe how it changes almost every day in some way. They're testing all the time. And it would probably do us well to study what they're doing. I can't say I have in the last couple of years, but that is great advice. So speaking of which, what advice would you give to someone else who finds themselves in a similar position to when you first realized you weren't going to get paid?
First thing you want to do is be prepared to give bad news. So if you own a business and the clients cut down on you and you don't have the funds, you still have a team. And depending on your relationship, this team may not care. They may say, this is your problem, you owe me money. So how are you going to solve that? Like I said, with us, I had a great relationship with everybody. If I didn't, I was prepared to take out a credit card, take out a loan. I was prepared to do what I had to do to make it right. Hopefully you're in a situation where you have clients in the funnel. That really saved me. We had some leads in the funnel that we hadn't closed, and I was confident we were going to close them. But had we not, it was going to be on to plan B.
I was wondering, do you give the keys to the website till people are paid in full at this point? I mean, I was wondering if that's a change you've made to policy.
This particular client, we came on, he already had a website, so we didn't redevelop it. But what we do normally when we bring on clients who want a website, we create a development site and it's on our server. And then we have different milestones where we share the website with them. Now we use the bug squasher. So we share the website and the bug squasher, and then they can leave all their notes. And when it's all said and done, we take the development site and we push it live for them. At the end of it, I do believe you're paying for a house almost. So we build the house, but at the end of the day, you paid for it. This is your house. You should have the keys to your house. So we do give them the keys to the site, keys to the house, and it is their property.
Kirk, how can people get a hold of you? What if they want to know more about your web development company, or If they want to know more about the Bug Squasher, where could they reach you?
The easiest way and the best ways to reach me is to go to either site, thebugsquasher.com or treehouse51.com, and just go to the contact page and fill out that form. All you have to do is say, hey, I want to talk to Kirk. And it goes to our team inbox, and the guys will say, Kirk, this is for you.
All right. Fantastic. So tell us a little more about your ideal client. Who are the type of people who should be reaching out to you at Treehouse 51 or the Bug Squasher?
For clients for Treehouse 51, these should be clients who are looking to do more with their marketing. So they have, let's say, a website, they're familiar with different marketing like PPC, videos, but they're looking to up their game. Their marketing plan isn't completed. I see so many times, so many clients who, a great example, don't have Google Analytics installed on their website, but they're spending thousands of dollars on like Facebook or PPC. And it just doesn't make sense. You can't make these kind of decisions without knowing the data. So if you're in a position where you want to use data to drive your marketing decisions, then that's a conversation we should have. We should look at what is it that you're doing? Where is it that you want to go? Also keep in mind just expectations. I also see a ton of clients who say like, I want to compete with Facebook. You're not going to compete with Facebook unless you have a cajillion dollars. You need to have a huge budget. So having those expectations real, I think, is really helpful. You can compete like locally with local competition, but going after the unrealistic is it sounds nice, but it's just not reality. The Bug Squasher, my vision for it is that it becomes the standard for working with websites. So anybody who is working with a website, anybody who has a website client, anybody who owns a website, it is very user-friendly. It's just a line of code that you put on your site, and then you can just click and take pictures. If you have a team, if you're a developer, you can assign these bugs to your team. There's reporting functions, there's automations. So anybody who deals with websites on a regular basis, the Bug Squasher is for you.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that about wraps it up for today. Thanks again to our guest, Kirk Deis, for sharing your story. We hope that this has been a liberating experience for you, Kirk, to pass along the lessons you've learned so that someone who hears it does not have to repeat your path. Any final thoughts for our audience?
Well, first, I want to say thank you again for having me on the show. I had a really good time. Next, I definitely recommend checking out the Bug Squasher. If you get a chance, jump on YouTube and you can kind of get a taste of what our marketing's like. If you look up the Bug Squasher rap video, rap song, we actually have this really fun rap video that we made. And what's great about this video is you'll learn about the Bug Squasher and you'll also learn about our style of marketing and what we can do.
Oh, fantastic. I understand you're a music fan and a guitar player as well?
Yeah. So I've been playing guitar for years. And the Bug Squasher music video is actually not a guitar song. It's a rap video. The story behind that is there's a Target not far from where I live, and my wife and I drive by it every weekend. And there's this kid, and he's been there for weeks, and he'll probably be here again this weekend. And he just sells CDs every weekend. He's there in the parking lot just selling CDs. And one day we were passing by, and I just stopped, and I was like, oh my God, I have to make a rap video. And my wife started laughing, and she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I need to make a rap video. And she's like, you're crazy. And I said, yeah, I'm crazy, but I still got to make a rap video. So then I did not hire that guy. We actually went on this search and talked to about like 20 different rappers. And we found a really, really talented guy, hired him, and we made this really creative rap video with the intent of just creating brand awareness for the Bug Squasher, just having some fun, getting it out there. In our first 2 weeks, it got over 20,000 views.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's on YouTube. And we got more views on Facebook. So it's been a blast. Everybody's been like super positive about it. It really, really helped get the word out about the Bug Squasher. Got us a lot of traffic. Got me a lot of messages. It also got a lot of requests. So a lot of people are saying, "What's next? Are you going to make a country song? Salsa song?" So I definitely recommend, if you got like less than 2 minutes, check it out. It's on YouTube, and it'll be a fun time.
So to our listeners, thank you for joining us. If this story's had an impact on you, the absolute best way you can show your appreciation is to write us a detailed 5-star review on iTunes so we can continue to gain more exposure and get this message out. Until next time, remember this: failure is a fact of life. Whether or not it defines you is a personal choice. Thanks, Kirk. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you here next time at How to Lose Money.
You've been listening to How to Lose Money. To ensure that you never miss an episode, subscribe to the show on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. Have something you want to share? Send us your comments, stories, and suggestions to howtolosemoney.com, and we'll consider them for a future episode. Until next time.